Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. The coronavirus is spreading across the world with multiple cases already reported in the United States. Ahead, we'll talk with an IU expert about what this means for Indiana. The Forest Service wants to cut nearly 5,000 acres of the Hoosier National Forest.
They're very homogeneous. They lack diversity in age and in structure, and so they're not providing the full range of diversity of habitat that a lot of species need.
But environmentalists say the logging could do a lot more harm than good. And we dig into those bags of leaves that you put out on your curb every fall.
If you're concerned about the environment and want to do what's right, you should compost or take it someplace to be composted.
We'll take a look at how they are processed and where they end up. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state,
all these things have got to go.
Right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, the World Health Organization declared coronavirus a global health emergency this week, signaling the risk of the virus spreading outside of China. Nearly 8,000 cases have been reported, with around 170 deaths so far. And the first person-to-person transmission of the virus in the United States was confirmed this week in Chicago. With us now is Mitch Legan, who's been reporting on the virus, to update us on the latest. Mitch, thanks for being here. First thing, there was a report of a possible case up in northwest Indiana, Porter County. Any news on that one?
So yes, actually right before we got on here today, I received word that it actually might be the flu and not the coronavirus, but I haven't been able to confirm that, so I'm not reporting that now. But it's still something we want to keep an eye on because obviously Porter County is close to Chicago, and as you said, that's where one of those confirmed cases of the coronavirus is. I spoke with Porter County's health administrator earlier this week, I believe on Wednesday, and she said one of the really tough parts about the coronavirus is that the symptoms are really close to the flu, so it's tough to tell whether you have coronavirus or influenza.
You also sat down with Anna Bento, a professor of epidemiology at IU. What did she say about the potential spread of this virus?
Yeah, and so she's been working on this since January, and what she really tries to dive into is, how these things spread and happen and really become kind of outbreaks. And what she said on Thursday was that her research was showing that there was possibility for that human-to-human transmission, and of course that was confirmed yesterday in Chicago.
This virus is novel in the sense that it's the first time that it has been reported as being potentially infectious from human to human, and not this occasional spillover event of a jump from one type of animal to humans, who are of course also animals.
Right, and so, obviously this is something we want to keep an eye on because it's up in Chicago and it's something that is, rapidly evolving. But she says we don't want to be too alarmist about it because, there are 6 confirmed cases in the U.S. where there have been thousands of people dying from the flu all year.
But we also know that SARS, which was an outbreak that was of significance in 2003, had that kind of average about a 2.63, so very close to what we have now, and was only able to infect 8 million people. And I don't mean to minimize, of course, 8 million people is a lot, but to put it in context.
And of course, there are a lot of international people here, and especially at universities like IU Bloomington. What are university officials saying? Right now?
So actually today they came out, there's going to be a travel ban for all students, faculty, and staff, so nobody from IU is going to be making a trip to China anytime soon. And we spoke with Chuck Carney, he's IU's spokesperson, earlier this week, and here's what he had to say.
Our environmental health and safety office is very much keeping an eye on this on an hour-to-hour basis to make sure that we're keeping up with what we need to as this progresses.
And, you know, Joe, he emphasized that there are no suspected cases of the coronavirus at IU. He really wanted to hammer that home.
All right, Mitch, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Federal officials say the Hoosier National Forest needs a reboot. A plan is in place to log nearly 5,000 acres of trees, some that have stood since the early 1900s. But as Adam Pinsker tells us, some environmental groups say the plan will do more harm than good.
This is a scarlet oak right here.
Indiana Forest Alliance Executive Director Jeffrey Stant identifies every tree he walks past in the Hoosier National Forest. But soon these trees he knows so well may be gone, as the U.S. Forest Service prepares to log about 4,300 acres of trees.
Where is the justification for spending our tax dollars to do that?
The Forest Service says many of the trees you see here have stood untouched for more than 100 years. They were planted after Indiana's early settlers stripped the region bare.
Historically, there would have been disturbance patterns happening across the landscape, be that from fire or from tornadoes or big wind events, things like that, that would have occasionally set back chunks of forest that were in an older condition.
Hoosier National Forest Supervisor Mike Chavez says the time has come to remove the older trees to allow new trees to flourish.
They're very homogeneous. They lack diversity in age and in structure, and so they're not providing the full range of diversity of habitat that a lot of species need.
The timber logged from these trees will be sold, as is common practice in national forests all over the country. Chavez says maintaining young forest habitats ensures the animals that live there will thrive and survive. But Stant says the Forest Service could actually harm some species such as birds, snakes, even salamanders.
I mentioned all these reptiles and amphibians and birds. There's also 4 different bats that are in extreme danger of extinction.
The Hoosier National Forest also draws hikers and horseback riders from the Midwest and beyond every year, generating revenue at local campgrounds and other businesses.
I don't think people realize how special it is until they actually get out here and experience it.
Horseback rider Christine Marks worries the project will cut off access to some of her favorite trails.
The main thing that the recreational trail riders are afraid of is that there will be these vistas that will not be here, that they will look like logged, burned areas.
That there are Management Area 2.8, which...
The Indiana Forest Alliance and Friends of Lake Monroe are also concerned sediment from the logging project will seep into Lake Monroe, one of the area's main drinking water sources.
This area that's to be logged has extremely steep slopes, and throughout the watershed we get erosion into the streams, and that affects the lake.
Just saying that it's not real and people won't buy.
But Chavez says the logging project will be far enough away from the Lake Monroe watershed that it won't cause any harm. What's more, Chavez says the logging project will allow the Forest Service to remove some man-made structures that are causing erosion problems.
We have some places where you have river crossings for roads, culverts that were poorly sized, roads that were built many, many decades ago and were not put in a good location or just have not been maintained well over time.
Chavez says those who objected during the public hearing phase of the project planning process can suggest other ways to maintain the forest before the February 3rd deadline. Christine Marks is hoping she'll be taken seriously.
I'd like for them to listen to us a little bit more and not just pat us on our heads and tell us everything's going to be okay and that they know what they're doing.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Adam Pinsker.
Now for the latest on this week's top stories. Indiana Senator Mike Brown has become a vocal figure in the ongoing impeachment hearing of President Donald Trump. Brown has expressed his support for the president and his dismissal of the Democrats' arguments against the president. On a conference call with reporters this week, he emphasized the political nature of the impeachment.
There's not one of us, when it comes to that juror status, that would be sitting in a normal trial, and that's because this is political. It was political because they started talking about impeachment from the day of inauguration.
And when asked about his enthusiastic support of the president and how it stands in contrast to his fellow Republican senator from Indiana, Todd Young, who's been less vocal about the impeachment hearing, he said he stands by the president's agenda.
For me, regardless of what you think about President Trump's style, to me his policies and his agenda speak for themselves. But if you're silent, I think that means maybe you weren't on that wavelength.
Republicans in the Senate aren't likely to vote to allow more witnesses, and the trial could end as early as today, but will likely continue into next week. A bill to separate teacher evaluations from student test scores is making its way through the Indiana General Assembly. The legislation still has to make it through the Senate after receiving House approval, but the state's largest teachers union says the bill could encourage more people to choose teaching as a career. Education advocates say since test scores started being used in evaluations, educators have felt increased pressure, and that changes the way teachers approach their jobs and work with students.
So that's one thing that helps, that we begin to retain folks, but then we're also able to get more to say, yeah, let's take a look at education as my career.
Schools could still decide how to use test scores and teacher evaluations. The legislative session ends in March. Hundreds of kids from all over Indiana gathered at the State House for Youth Climate Action Day. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports, the event invites young people to encourage their lawmakers to pass policies that address climate change.
Indiana University student Sylvia Lombardo stands in the Capitol atrium in front of a sea of grade school kids.
It's really important to bring those children to this forefront of this message because it's their lives that we're toying with, and they should be growing up with the mentality that they need to protect their climate.
Organizers say young people have led efforts to pass climate resolutions in no less than 7 cities in the state. In honor of the event, Democratic lawmakers are proposing a House resolution that would require the state to form a summer study committee on climate change and recommend policies on climate solutions. The committee would look into things like green manufacturing, getting the state more involved in making electric vehicles, wind turbines, and solar panels. It would also help make communities more walkable and climate resilient.
So the economic opportunity is great, and the economic risk of doing nothing is just as significant.
Even if the resolution passes, there's no guarantee that a summer study committee would be created. 3 of 4 state caucus leaders would have to agree to study the issue. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
IU Health broke ground this week on a new facility that will house a pair of doctors, along with a variety of preventative care options. Program manager for the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, Colette Childress, stressed the importance of providing care where residents live.
We know that when we pull people out of their communities, they're away from their church community, they're away from their social community, they're away from their work community, and that does not add to the healing process. It actually detracts from the healing process.
The facility is welcome news for a community that ranks in the bottom third of Indiana counties, according to a 2019 health report. IU Health says the new facility is expected to open later this summer, but patients requiring more specialized care will still have to travel. A judge ruled this week the city of Bloomington cannot amend its attempt to acquire realtor Juan Carlos Carrasquel's building through eminent domain in order to make room for the proposed expansion of a parking garage. The ruling denied the city's motion, saying it doesn't conform to the evidence already presented to the court. The city had been trying since summer to use eminent domain to take Carrasquel's building on the corner of 3rd and Walnut to expand the 4th Street garage. Carrasquel says his next step is seeking compensation from the city for legal fees spent defending his property. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is awarding nearly $1.7 million to fund 10 homelessness programs in Bloomington. Housing officials say the work of local agencies has brought down homelessness in Indiana by 15% since 2010. HUD officials say the renewal grants for 3 Bloomington organizations would build on those successes.
We believe that one homeless American, one homeless person in Bloomington is one too many. That means we have a lot of work to do, cooperatively, the federal, the state, and of course, through the mayor's guidance, the local community, working together to solve this issue of homelessness.
The renewal grants will go to Centerstone, Indiana, Indiana University Health Bloomington, and the Shalom Community Center. The Bloomington grants are part of $23.8 million in funding this year for 89 homelessness programs throughout Indiana. Well, I sat down with Nashville's municipal operation consultant, Dax Norton. He isn't a town manager, but he advises council members on strategic decision and policy direction. He says that even though tourism is the biggest driver for the Nashville community, it's important to put residents first.
You also have a community that has residents. And I've reminded the council that if you don't take care of your residents, your tourism will probably start to fail a bit. So you don't want to put tourism over your residents first.
Norton has a year-long contract with the town to be on site a day a week and for 2 public meetings a month, but he says he's working in the area more often than that. The town pays $3,250 a month through their contract. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Ever wonder what happens to your yard waste after it's collected? As part of our City Limits series, we head out to see where the leaves on your curb end up. Graduate student workers at IU's Bloomington campus came out in force this week to call for an end to student fees for student workers. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
In a time of change, where can you find in-depth reporting and thoughtful analysis? Washington Week on PBS. Join moderator Robert Costa.
When I was at the Capitol this week, I encountered the same.
And a panel of award-winning journalists.
You're seeing a divided nation and you're seeing.
For insights and perspective.
Tonight there was a key development in the
Senate. You won't find anywhere else.
What a week.
Washington Week.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Well, after proposing more than 100 education bills, lawmakers face a key legislative deadline next week. Education reporter Jeannie Lindsay joins us to talk about which education bills have made it through the House and Chamber and which ones might actually make it to Governor Holcomb's desk. Thanks for being here. Yeah. It's only about half of the dozen bills have actually made it. Which ones do you think will have the biggest impact? If you could maybe pick a couple.
Right, so the first one that's really obvious is the Hold Harmless I Learn bill, and that would not penalize schools for the drop in student achievement that we saw when they transitioned to the new I Learn test. Lawmakers have been really committed to getting that through really quickly, and so the Senate actually has also passed identical legislation because of technicalities. One chamber has to pass one of the bills to get it to the governor's desk, and it looks like that will be the Senate bill. So it'll let schools use the same letter grades that they got in 2017-18 for 2019 and 2020. So people are pretty relieved about that.
So does it look like that will actually, though, make it to the governor's desk?
Oh yeah, everybody's really on board with that. It could honestly be on the governor's desk by next week.
What are some of the other bills that they're looking at?
Well, you mentioned one of them earlier on the show, teacher evaluations. Teachers are really excited about that. It would get rid of the state requirement that says test scores have to significantly inform teacher evaluations, and that's being hailed as a huge win for teachers. There's another bill that would address school flexibility. It would let schools apply for waivers to get around some state requirements, as long as they can prove that waiving those requirements would benefit student learning.
And this is really something educators in the state are looking forward to, right?
Right, yeah. So the teacher evaluations one has a lot of people excited. The flexibility bill has a little people kind of wary of that. There might be some legal questions that remain, but schools are really looking forward to, you know, the possibility of getting to maybe try some new things and let the state let them do that.
We just have a little under 30 seconds. Anything else we should take a look at?
Right, so trauma-informed instruction is something that's come up for teacher prep programs, and then there's another bill that would offer special education support for students that don't have a high school diploma.
All right, Jeannie, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Graduate student workers marched across Indiana University's campus on Tuesday to protest the hundreds of dollars in fees they're forced to pay each year. As George Hale reports, they rallied outside the campus's main library as protest leaders met with university officials.
Got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. All these fees have got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. All these fees have got to go.
Graduate students at IU pay hundreds of dollars in fees each year for building rehabilitation, technology, transportation, and other services. And international graduate students pay hundreds of dollars more. Members of a group that organized the rally say the fees go toward important services. But many of those services, such as classroom technology, are also essential for doing jobs like teaching.
We are proud to present you with our petition demanding campus-wide end to mandatory and international fees, and to ask the Vice Provost for Graduate Education to make that happen. The financial burden of mandatory and international fees is one of the most pressing issues for all of our members.
What do we want? End of fees! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? End of fees! When do we want it? Now!
Nearly 2,000 graduate workers signed a petition calling to end the fees, which they say are unaffordable and make up a large percentage of some students' stipends. They say students shouldn't have to pay to work.
I am a graduate worker at this university, and I am not paid enough. Most of my food comes from a food pantry, and I'm just trying to do the best job that I can for this university, whose message I believe in, and I feel like I'm not being paid enough for the labor that I'm doing. So we're fighting to end the fees.
Spokesman Chuck Carney says IU officials welcome a dialogue with student workers and are looking for ways to mitigate the burden of the fees.
One of the things we're working on is really trying to find more ways to increase the stipends that students receive as graduate students to do the things like teaching and being lab assistants. Those are things that we're working on to try to alleviate any stress that they feel.
But at Tuesday's rally, demonstrators said they were seeking an end to all fees for graduate student workers, not just reducing them.
What do we want? End of fees! When do we want it? Now! Thank you.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm George Hale.
Well, when people think about recycling, plastic water bottles, cardboard boxes, and tin cans, those might be the first thing that come to mind. But one Bloomington resident got to thinking about other types of recycling and reuse in the community. Benta Boutier reports for City Limits.
For Elspeth Hayden, a longtime runner, it's important to have clear sidewalks and paths so she can keep her footing. Her runs take her through campus, downtown, south of town, and through Bryant Park. She's noticed in some areas debris accumulates, making it difficult for her to stay on the path.
It's more in the neighborhoods that I see a lot of debris from people's yards, the lovely trees that people have, and it accumulates on sidewalks, especially when the sidewalks are narrow in some of the older neighborhoods.
But she's also aware of the imminent threat climate change poses, and started to wonder what happens to all the leaves and debris once they've been cleared.
So yard waste is pretty much the same thing. It's also organic matter. So if all of the leaves and yard waste that's collected is just getting dumped in landfills, then it's causing huge emissions, CO2 emissions. So I was just wondering, does it go to a landfill? Would it be better to do something else with my yard waste?
The short answer is yard debris collected by the city does get reused.
It's all remote control. You can sit in the machine, drive it, raise that up and down, raise that up and down.
Kevin Huntley owns Green Earth Composting, one of the locations where yard waste is sent. He turns yard waste into either mulch or compost at his facility. Huntley says this has been a heavy year, but the average is about 200 industrial leaf vacuum loads of leaves from the city a year. Bloomington Street Department officials say they sent around 340 loads of leaves and debris to Green Earth this year at a cost of about $20 a load.
When we take anything of any size and recompost it, I heat with wood, so I take anything I can make firewood and I'll cut it into firewood. Anything that's clean left over, I'll grind into mulch. And then the stuff that's not so clean, I'll regrind and put it in windrows for compost.
The machine he uses to make mulch is called the Bandit Beast Grinder.
I mean, you can put a stump the size of a car in it and it comes out in little bitty pieces in just a few seconds. It earns its name, the Beast.
But running an operation like this isn't easy or cheap. He says the Bandit costs almost $1 million and can burn through 500 gallons of fuel in about 2 days if he's running it continuously. If any glass goes through the machine, Huntley can't use those materials because glass breaks into pieces too small to filter out.
Glass is a #1 enemy.
He says he uses some of the mulch and compost in the excavating business he runs. Using the recycled materials makes running Green Earth more affordable. Huntley agrees with Hayden's concern about making sure materials don't go to waste or end up in a landfill.
But as far as, if you're concerned about the environment and want to do what's right, you should compost or take it someplace to be composted. If you take it to the landfill, it just creates more methane gas.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Ben Taboutier.
That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.